As many as 10 million Americans are considering becoming freelancers to give themselves more flexibility. But as companies begin to bring workers back and the competition for top talent intensifies, where does this leave the freelance economy? Joining us now is Hayden Brown. She is CEO of the global freelance hiring platform Upwork. Hayden, it's good to see you again. I'm going to start this off with an observation. It's sometimes a real pain to be a freelancer. From tax implications to just the stress of having to constantly line up work. Is it possible that people who dabbled in this over the past year and a half are now going, you know what, maybe the job's just easier?
Kelly, I think we're actually seeing the opposite. Platforms like Upwork are actually here to make it easy for freelancers. They don't have to look for the next gig. The gig actually comes to them. And what we're hearing from freelancers is they actually feel more secure going through economic downturns and tough times as freelancers because they have a bench of clients that they're working with and they're not exposed to just a single employer and what might happen with that employer. So I think the ground has really shifted as freelancers are finding that they feel more secure. It's actually getting easier and easier to be a freelancer. And it's actually a preference for them to be doing the work this way where they have autonomy, control,
Yeah.
and so many of these benefits versus what full-time employment looks like.
And in fairness, most of the people I know who have become freelancers are making more than they were before they left their jobs, to their own great surprise. Most thought, I'm starting a different kind of work and it's going to be lower paid. And instead, they're too busy. They're making way more than they would have thought, and they have too many opportunities. So I guess that raises different kind of management issues. Your stock, I believe, is up about 40% this year. So you guys are still building on the 2020 gains. Where is this all going, right? I mean, the transformation of the labor force, is that now behind us, or is it just beginning?
We are just in the early days of that transformation. This is a $1 trillion plus market opportunity that we are unlocking. And, our company had $2.5 billion of gross services volume last year. So it's early innings. And I think the real transformation that's ahead of us is companies figuring out that now they know how to work remotely because they figured that out during the pandemic. This unlocks for them a talent strategy for tapping into new workers like freelance workers who are in different locations and bring new skills to the table. And this is critical because so many CEOs have been struggling with talent and access and talent gaps as key blockers for them driving growth. So this is early innings as they use remote work and remote strategies to tap into new types of workers and bring those workers into their core strategies for growth.
Another observation that I think you could help explain to me, and I don't know exactly what all the different kinds of freelance work on Upwork are, but one thing I hear more and more about is all of these people who are using virtual assistants from literally places like the Philippines. And I don't know if this is a Fiverr thing or if you go and you explain your email to them and then but like every time I turn around now, someone's telling me about their virtual assistant from Southeast Asia. Is this considered, this is kind of the sort of offshoring of white collar jobs, right? That I guess the internet and freelance work is all beginning, but this feels like a different phenomenon from what you're talking about.
I think this is just one aspect of the many different types of work that can be done by freelancers through a platform like Upwork and others. So what you're seeing, Kelly, is people realizing that when they can work remotely with people, they don't need to have maybe that assistant in the office sitting next to them. They can actually work with somebody through a computer who can do amazing work and maybe even offer benefits because it's a 24/7 schedule where they might send a request and then somebody's working on that request overnight and bringing that work ready in the morning. So this is where we're going to see transformation of many types of work as people are using these new skills and capabilities they've learned.
And finally, as we sort of look at the economy, the momentum for the whole labor market this fall, we just got the big jobs report. It was a disappointment, but people aren't sure if that's because demand wasn't strong enough for workers or if the supply of workers weren't as willing, what can you tell me from just what Upwork is experiencing? What do you think is going on with the labor market? Is it slowing or is it stronger than ever?
I think it's stronger than ever. And we are really seeing, demand from clients continues to be there. Freelancers are eager to do the work. But in the macro sense, I think so many businesses haven't realized that freelancers can serve them in many different ways. And there's this misperception that freelancers should only be on the margins of their business or can only do maybe admin support jobs or some of the things that you were asking about just a minute ago. And so I think where we're still hoping to see those changes and working to drive those changes are for businesses to realize there's so much more that freelancers can do to solve the skills gaps that businesses are struggling to hire against. They have so many open jobs that are taking 6 months or more to fill. whereas there's a freelancer sitting on our platform right now, ready to do that project literally today. So there's a supply demand mismatch because people are often looking for those workers in the wrong places. They're looking at these traditional FTE job boards and staffing services when they need to go to where the workers are today, which is platforms like Upwork.
You know, it's funny you say that, but we are seeing even more. I think the Wall Street Journal had a piece about this over the weekend that, you know, the hirers are not looking to where the candidates actually are. And maybe what you're describing is a big part of that mismatch. Hayden, thanks so much for your time. Good to see you again.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.